Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to our Camnet News. My name is Amazing Katamanda. Let's take a look at the stories that are making the headlines. Former last president breaks the abolishment of death penalty. The state maintains that President Hakainde Hichilema was right to fire a High Court judge.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry.
Has so much data.
Mom?
Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Thank you for staying with us, and now the news in detail. Law Association of Zambia, former President George Chisanga has welcomed President Hakainde Hichilema's pronouncement that the United Party for National Development has taken a stance to abolish the death penalty. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Chisanga says the country has been heading towards this direction as many Zambians have been suggesting its removal.
The pronouncement by His Excellency the President of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, to repeal the death penalty from the Zambian Constitution has stirred debate among stakeholders. The death penalty, which has been left untouched for almost 25 years now, was last invoked by the late former President Frederick Chiluba, as all other succeeding presidents had never signed anyone for the execution role. However, on the eve of Africa Freedom Day, His Excellency the President called for the removal of the death penalty from the Zambian statutes in pursuit for rehabilitation of offenders whilst justice is being served. The former president for the Law Association of Zambia, George Chisanga, has welcomed this pronouncement, saying the country has been heading to this trajectory as seen from the renaming of prisons to correctional facilities in a bid to move from retribution to rehabilitation of offenders and preservation of life.
To that protocol. That protocol was renewed as an optional protocol in 1989 by the UN. But in Zambia, we have tried many times to address ourselves to this topical subject. In 1990, under the Bunga Constitutional Review Commission program, people also were asked whether we should continue to maintain the death penalty as a punishment in our statute. Given the fact that now we were returning to multi-party state system and we were going to have, among other things, a set of guaranteed freedoms in the Constitution. So the Constitution confers the right to life. And then it's curtailed by saying you can take away the right to life when you are meting out a punishment under the law. But people from the time of Bunga Commission, and even the commission that was appointed by Levi Patrick Manawasa in 2002, people have said repeatedly that they would like to have the death penalty abolished. So the general population, the majority of the Zambian population, is that we shouldn't continue with this very grievous punishment on individuals that are found to fall far with the law.
Meanwhile, the Operation Save the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy MMD President Gaston Chilima says the decision to remove the death penalty should come from the people and not from the presidency, as they are the ones who stand to be affected. He says the removal calls for long-term procedures which need an active participation of citizens through a referendum.
Such pronouncements in most cases are supposed to come from the people, meaning the government needs to go for consultations, and the referendum is supposed to be called for, because there is also a procedure of calling a referendum. There has to be a very, very wide consultation. But it's also a warning that most of my colleagues, especially those that are appointed as cabinet ministers, and especially those that are surrounding the president, they need to manage presidency, because anything that the president announces becomes a policy.
Mr. Chilima further added that people should not abuse the presidency, as anything said once holding that position automatically becomes a policy. Messi Chanika reporting for Camnet TV News. in Lusaka.
The state has submitted before the Constitutional Court that President Hakainde Hichilema acted within the Constitution when he fired Lusaka High Court Judge Joshua Banda on the 6th May of 2022. This is in a case in which recently fired High Court Judge Joshua Banda has petitioned the Constitutional Court challenging his dismissal by President Hakainde Hichilema from the office of the High Court Judge and is seeking an interim order to stay the decision.
On the 6th of May 2022, President Hakainde Hichilema fired Lusaka High Court Judge Joshua Banda from the office of High Court Judge. His firing followed recommendations in the report presented to the President by the Judicial Complaint Commission. The head of state fired Mr. Banda for mischievous behavior in his execution of his mandate. Unhappy with the dismissal, Mr. Banda then rushed to the Constitutional Court challenging the same. Mr. Banda wants an interim order to stay the decision made by the President to remove him from the office of Judge of the High Court and recalling the letters patent which constitute him as a High Court Judge. He has cited the Attorney General as the respondent. However, in an affidavit in opposition for the order to stay the decision, Commission Secretary at the Judicial Complaints Commission, Naisa Makaleta, has submitted that JCC acted within the confines of the law, hence the petition commenced by Mr. Banda does not stand, further arguing that the President acted within the Constitution when he released him of his duties. The Commission has since urged the court not to entertain his petition to stay the decision made by the President on grounds that the petition does not have high prospects of success because Mr. Banda used the wrong mode of commencement. Mr. Banda in his petition also wants a declaration that the justification of the JCC to hear complaints against judges does not extend to matters that happen prior to a judge's appointment to the office of judge, as the same is the preserve of the President, Judicial Service Commission, and the National Assembly. Mr. Banda also wants an order quashing the President's decision to accept the recommendations of the JCC to remove him as judge and recalling the letters patent that constitute him. Cherish Sibote, Camnet News, Lusaka.
A Nakonde resident, Mlenga Mtali, has reported Patriotic Front presidential hopeful Shimba Kambwili to Nakonde police station for allegedly giving wrong information to police on the death of National Democratic Congress National Chairperson Obed Kasonde in 2019. In an interview, Mr. Mtali says Dr. Kambwili is on record openly telling the nation that embattled Kabushi Member Parliament, Boma Nusambo, was responsible for the death of Mr. Kasongo and he witnessed that.
I've officially reported the former minister and the former MP for Loan, Dr. Chimba Kambwili, today here at Nakonde police station for giving false information to the nation about the death of the late Obed Kasongo, who died in 2019. Dr. Kambwili openly told the nation that Mr. Obed was murdered by a known person who is Honorable Boma Nusambo, the Kabushi Member of Parliament. It was in public domain, it was everywhere when he reported himself, of which he said he was the witness. It was so unfortunately, again, the same Dr. Kambwili came and told the nation that Obed died of malaria. Now I want Dr. Kambwili to help us to understand where he got that information before the post-mortem report that Obed was murdered by.
Over 300 members of Kampasa area in Chongwe district have held a peaceful protest demanding for land from authorities. A land wrangle that persisted since the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy MMD regime has left the community stranded as they claim to have lived on the 150 hectares land since 1984.
Kodi disaster bwanja president na papa mwe.
They have lived on this land since 1984. History has it that this land was owned by a foreign national, commonly known as Galoon, who later handed this 150 hectares piece of land to the state, while these people only settled on a small portion by the side. Since then, families multiplied, thereby increasing the population for Kampasa Stage A of Chongo district. They since turned to government then to give them this land for settlement. Previous governments from MMD promised to grant this request to them. It is also said that during campaigns, the United Party for National Development, UPND, also committed to that promise. Fast forward to May 2022, they woke up to a shock that a non-developer has jumped on the site, to which they ask who is behind this. They have since held peaceful protests demanding for answers. Mr. Jateo Zulu is the community chairman who spoke to Camnet News.
Kampasa. So now, people, we are just surprised to see that the activities have started without knowing anything. So it has taken people now to say, what is it that is happening? That's why people have gathered here to protest the land that we were promised by the president and the area member of parliament.
In the history ya ino Kampasa, koma boma nifuna itiyangane papali inkani kositaenda office to office.
Kumunzi tingale pamalo pano. Manjene nakulira pano. Nisaenda branji kumunzi. Kumunzi nizi wako nachonela muno. Wana nipisa paka malo kachitipasa kangoni. So tizankala branji. Pakuti mwati yambila kudala kuvutika na wano malo. Na manje tikali kuvutika.
They expressed disappointment and requested the Republican president's intervention.
Fama mzungu angalole mzungu kwa mtengo fama mzungu. Na kumkulisa so. Bari triki paminapo na papata. I group of government mwapela mutiangana maniki paminapa. Wao infinitive futa wa tu futa wa president ngalepo nife wantu. Professor, akeni wantu andala mawa. Abantu andala maswa futa. Bantu andala maswa vota. O vota ni bantu sauka wana kumona.
So tifati pushinge ngani tavutika maningi pa tipe chochita manje. Talema na malo wano manje. Takulira pa designer kuti.
And some members of the community have demonstrated how severe the situation is in this community.
Vera tadanda ulo kudala ni amina yonani manyumba amini tigonamu ni soja bapa zati gumukira kuli this year tilibe ponkala na wana ni soja bimawao na wose bana
tina bana masiye na mwana odwala kulibe kwa ninga wapereke amuna wanatisiye so vaninga pembe chaba titandize kutapapata
enzo kamba we kakalako so ni shimuza kukirako muwayo mu mae twadabwa tiembekezera tidabwa futi muwaba mbusewu
toilet tizaenda kuti vatipoka sanga yatu isanga benze vanatipasa olo vaedika lungu olo vasata vaiziva ngani maesanga istizi vanabwera mukukirina matipoka.
Meanwhile, Chongo District UPND Vice Treasurer Oliver Kabanja have assured the people of Kampasa, saying the party is aware of the challenges they are facing.
So osa timuzidela masuku pa bantu mwabwela tino bantu tuvoteleni, then at the end of it mwabadampinga like that. Kansi pa bantu ndiye pokuwelela so that munkale reach because they have to kuvutika kwa bantu. So as a party we stand with you and we will support you so that this land must be given back to you people.
They wait for powers that be to intervene. Alex Shimba, Camnet News, Chongo District.
That item brings us to the end of our Camnet Daily News, but before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Former last president breaks the abolishment of death penalty. The state maintains that President Hakainde Hichilema was right to fire a High Court judge. Those are the stories that we had for you. Thank you for joining us. My name is Amazing Katamanda. Good afternoon.